Undercurrent, sponsored by John Hughes in Victoria Park. Choose your station before you choose your program. Absolutely.
Hello and welcome back to Undercurrent. I'm Christy Mollica. Well, this stunning and rather delicious oasis known as the Urban Orchard is also part of the Perth Cultural Precinct, and it's hard to imagine that this is actually on the roof of an undercover car park. And as a community member, you can actually get involved in this. You can get involved in the harvesting and all sorts of things, or of course just come down and spend your lunchtime here. Well, like me, you may be surprised to find that a huge percentage of the meat in our supermarkets, whilst not labelled so, is actually halal. Luke Schubert investigates.
Mr Simpkins, the local MP for the district of Cohen, recently raised a petition in the federal parliament concerning the unlabelled sale of meat which has undergone the Islamic ritual of halal.
Halal ritual is the animal is bled properly, and it must be killed by the Muslim with a sharp knife, and 3 of the 4 arteries must be cut. And after that, all the blood comes out of the animal and it becomes pure inside, and that makes it healthy to eat. That is the criteria of the halal.
The Muslim religion, the Islamic religion, is a very small percentage of Australia now, and I think that there should be food provided which is halal, but at the same point, given the fact that the vast majority of people in this country are not Muslim, then there should certainly be a choice provided for, an alternative provided for the vast majority of Australians.
The non-Muslim doesn't have to eat halal meat. It is their choice. Yeah, but the meat that is non-halal becomes haram for us to eat. We cannot eat it, forbidden to us.
What I'd like to see at the outset is the processors making sure that the meat that finds its way to the shelves of our supermarkets and our butcher shops is labelled, whether it is or is not halal.
For the Muslim, yes, it is important that the meat must be labelled so they can see clearly that that is halal meat and the other one is not halal meat.
A lot of Australians see that better labelling is will provide them with the choices they would like.
There is a consumer issue. Do you think it should be labelled?
Yes, I think people should have the choice and know what they are getting.
Yeah, it must be a label. It must be, because it's very important.
Oh, definitely, yeah. If there's a difference, then they should be labelled differently.
Yeah, it should be labelled.
I think it should be labelled, yeah, why not?
Would you like to see halal meat labelled?
Yes.
Yeah? Would it make it easier for you to identify?
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
In a recent speech to federal parliament, Mr Simpkins said, "By having Australians unwittingly eat halal food, we're all one step down the path towards conversion."
You cannot be converted if you eat any halal item. By eating halal meat doesn't make you a Muslim, never ever. And you cannot be accepted if you didn't utter the words of God. If you accept the words, the oneness of God, that is when you accept Islam.
Religion, Christianity, and I think most religions are a personal choice that people make. And that is separate to government and the culture of the country. I think that if people see the religious laws as being more than just a personal approach to their life, then that is contradictory to the democratic traditions of the country.
Local MP Mr Simpkins said that we're secretly being converted to Islam because we're non-believers are eating halal meat. Do you believe that's true?
No, but I think they should label it.
Do you think that's a bit of a stupid statement to make?
Yeah, definitely.
I think the whole thing's a bunch of nonsense and it just stirs up antagonism.
If we are unknowingly eating halal food, we are being converted to Islam. Would you believe that?
I think that's drawing rather a long bow.
Would you, do you have a problem eating halal meat, or would you have a problem eating halal meat?
No.
Not really.
I wouldn't mind eating it, no.
Do you eat halal meat?
Sometimes.
Do you mind eating halal meat?
No.
You have no problem with eating it?
No, I have no problems with it.
But I am concerned with how much we're starting to cater to minorities, to the point that I feel like we're starting to give up part of our own identity. I think that's sad.
The labelling of meat is certainly a consumer issue that needs to be addressed. However, it is important that the issue does not become distorted by misguided religious points of view. This is Luke Schubert reporting for Undercurrent.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm not opposed to the old spot of controversial television. But a new program set to air very soon on Channel 7 has even me raising my eyebrows. The title is Good Christian Bitches. Roxy Wykes investigates.
The American dramedy Good Christian Bitches has ruffled the feathers of many within the Australian Christian community. 4,377 out of 5,000 correspondents has signed a petition to stop the airing of the show. The show is based on the novel by author Kim Gatling, which centres around a divorced mother of two who returns back to her hometown in Dallas, where she gets caught in a whirlwind of malicious gossip, Botox and fraud from people within the so-called Christian community. I spoke to Phil Ayres, Tahila Newcomb and Erin Mountford to find out more about the controversy the show has caused.
I think the whole concept of what's being presented on the screens is certainly not a true reflection of anything that's Christian. And you have a sexy, beautiful, sexy looking young woman displaying herself on the screen, and then you have a snake. It's actually kind of almost the opposite of what Christianity is about.
I was very shocked when I first saw the promotion for it. I couldn't believe that they just put the two words together, you know, the title itself just completely contradicts itself.
In a way, I think it's good advertising in the sense it really strikes everybody. But yeah, I think there might be a bit of overreacting in the sense that it's just a show, it's nothing more.
It's been designed to catch attention, have as many people hooked to watch it as possible, and it's a lot of gimmickry in terms of the name to grab media attention and sensationalise it, to stir people up, because even bad press is good press in terms of the media.
The ABC television network wants to make Christian bashing a regular part of its new fall lineup. We know it will be a provocative program because it's being produced by Darren Starr, the homosexual producer who created the raunchy show Sex in the City.
The way that they have done it is really, in a sense, it's really clever because it really captures your audience because it's so shocking.
Whoever's producing this is using this as a strategy to actually sensationalise and bring attention to their program.
And I wouldn't worry about the title of the show or the show itself affecting me. And for any Christian women out there, I'd just like to say that, you know, you find your identity in Christ, not in a TV show.
This is a kind of a snapshot of what Christianity and people who have a faith in God look like. This is a snapshot. It's unfair to do that, because to do that is not a true representation of any faith. The philosophy of the program is working against the culture that the average Australian is trying to build.
But regardless of the constant viewer complaints, Channel 7 still stands by the explicit title and demeaning promotional material.
Amanda, welcome home. How long are you staying?
Don't know yet. I'm still figuring it all out.
Well, darling, we all hope you're here for good and not for evil.
Well, behind me is Pika, just another one of the jewels in the crown here in the Perth Cultural Centre. Well, next up, John Hammond sat down for a quick drink just across the way at the Court Wine Bar with Bronwyn Barnes.
Bronwyn Barnes, thank you for joining me at the Court Wine Bar this afternoon.
That's my pleasure, John.
Bronwyn, I suppose what's unusual about you, if I can put it that way, is you're heavily involved in the mining sector, and there's not many women who hold down roles, particularly at your level, in the area of mining.
No, I think it's quite often that I am the only female in the room, so I'm quite used to that.
Have you been treated differently over the years because you are a female?
I don't think it's so much about being treated differently. I think I've probably had different experiences in the mining industry. I guess I came into the industry by quite a different route than most people would enter, and I actually, came through the arts. So, I have a degree in French and medieval history and then postgraduate work in business.
And Bron, when you're on the mining sites, obviously you're not dressed the way you are today.
No.
Do you dress down just a little bit, or?
I dress down quite a lot. I do wear my steel caps and my khaki shirts and my long pants and no makeup with my hair tied back.
Because I think a lot of people find it hard to believe that that is what you actually do. Looking
yes.
at you today on TV.
It's a very different world. The world that I operate in when I'm in West Africa. It's very remote. There's no running water. There's no electricity. The roads are all gravel roads for the last 190 kilometres that we go towards the mine site.
So that's in stark contrast to your life in the western suburbs in Perth.
Correct. But we can still manage to get some good French wine if you bring it with you.
And Bronwyn, it seems as though you almost have absolutely no downtime, but do you find time to get away from all of this?
Look, I do enjoy being at the beach, and that's the one thing that I do every morning is walk along the beach, quite early. My other downtime tends to be associated with my family and close friends, but I sort of feel that I do have quite a bit to contribute and a lot I want to achieve, so I'm quite happy sort of limiting those downtimes.
And Bronwyn, you're quite a passionate supporter of the Liberal Party?
Yes, I am a passionate supporter of the 500 Club.
And whilst we're on Liberal politics, do you think Tony Abbott would make a good Prime Minister of Australia?
I think that the voting public always gets the Prime Minister it deserves.
Well, that's a very diplomatic and careful answer, Bronwyn Barnes. Bronwyn, one of the places that you like travelling to as part of your job and also for relaxation, I believe, is Paris.
Yes.
What is it about Paris that appeals to you?
Look, I think I've always loved French. I've always loved speaking French and being in French cultures. So for me, the current role that I have, where I do get to be in Paris, every 6 weeks or so, is a wonderful opportunity just for me to maintain my connection.
Do you think there's much that WA can learn from Paris in terms of its architecture and culture?
I think that in terms of culture, what we see when we go to Paris is, a very high level of interest in the arts and in very modern forms of art, that can manifest themselves in street art and in public places. I think that lends a wonderful vibrancy to any culture, and I think that is something that I would love to see more of in Perth, particularly given the climate that we have here. It is really quite
one of the criticisms we have of the Perth city is that its architecture, by and large, is appalling, and that any new building that goes up is also appalling in terms of its design and shape.
Look, I'm a pretty dyed-in-the-wool Perth girl, having been born and bred here, so I'm quite happy to defend the architecture of Perth, and I love, our City Council House. I think that that's a wonderfully iconic piece of architecture that really reflects the era in which it was built.
Bronwyn Barnes, thank you very much for joining me at the Court Wine Bar this afternoon.
My pleasure, thanks John.
As always, it's been a pleasure to have your company here this evening, but we would love to hear your suggestions or ideas. You can join our Facebook group, follow us on Twitter, or visit our website wtvperth.com.au. I'm already looking forward to seeing you next week right here on Undercurrent.
Undercurrent, sponsored by John Hughes in Victoria Park. Choose your station before you choose your program. Absolutely.